I hope there's nobody hungry here. When people ask me, are you hungry? I am never hungry at these events. They feed you morning, noon, and night, so there's no excuse to be hungry here. I want to mention here the prizes that people have been signing up for. There's a Bahweting package that's going to be given away, rounds of golf, Big Bear birthday package, and Katie Brown tickets. And if your name is called for any of those, you can go to the admin's table, which is over in 10 over there. And I guess that's about all. Oh, at the community health entrance, and ask for a punch card. Okay. Everybody get their punch card? Me neither, so. Okay. With that, I guess we're going to move right along here. Austin Lowe's is back here again. I think he's here. And Austin is going to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Austin.
Hey everybody. It is my honor to introduce one of our brightest and best tribal members, Angeline Bully. Angeline is a storyteller who writes about our Ojibwe community. Her debut novel, Firekeeper's Daughter, was a #1 New York Times bestseller. It also received the Prince and Morris Awards from the American Library Association. In addition to this, it was selected by the Reese Witherspoon Young Adult Book Club. We're excited that the book is being adapted for a Netflix series by the Obama's Higher Ground production. Her latest novel, Warrior Girl Unearthed, has received high praise and has been selected as a book club pick by Target and Barnes & Noble. Although Angeline now lives in Southwest Michigan, she will always be a significant part of our tribal community and a shining example to our young people. Let's put our hands together for Angeline. And on behalf of the whole Sault Tribe, I'd like to present this black ash basket. I dropped it. It's still intact. It's not
Miigwech. Bonjour, ani Angeline Bully, Miskwa Makokwe Nadishnakas. Makwa Dodam, Zisabaka, Minising, and Donjaba. Hello everyone, I'm Angeline Bully, and what an honor to be here with you celebrating our tribe's 50th anniversary of our federal recognition. We are living a dream that our grandparents and those that came before them just dreamt of. And that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, is about how dreams and how they can come true. And sometimes they come true in ways you didn't expect. So many of you might remember me from when I lived here about 12 years, 15 years. I was the tribe's education director for about 12 years. And then I ran for the tribal board, and I didn't win. Darn you all. For so long, that had been my dream. I wanted to move here. My dad is Henry Bully Sr., and he left the area as a young man, joined the Navy, met my mom in Chicago, had us kids, and raised us downstate. He was a truck driver, and we would come up every summer and during the year for weddings and funerals and different events. And so, I was always close with my grandparents and my cousins and my aunts. But to live here was a dream, and to be the education director was a dream. And then I wanted to serve in an elected capacity. And so I ran for the tribal board. And I always thought that if you had the best funding and the best ideas and worked the hardest, that you would get elected. And that's not how tribal elections necessarily work. And that's okay. because I needed that dream to not come true for me, because then it made way for other dreams that I had. So when I was 18 years old, I was a senior in high school in New Buffalo, and my best friend went to a different school just across the state line. And she told me about a new boy senior year who she thought might be my type. Don't have a type, to those out there. And she thought that he might be my type and I might want to meet him. And I was dateless and intrigued, and so I wanted to meet him. But the more that she told me about him, she said, oh, he doesn't play any sports, and he hangs out with the really hardcore stoners. And yeah, if you know my parents and how strict they are, like that wasn't gonna fly. So I never met him. And then a month before graduation, my friend said, you're never gonna believe it. There was a drug bust, and the new boy was actually an undercover police officer, and he was there to like find out who the suppliers were. And this was a few years before the original 21 Jump Street series with Johnny Depp. And so it just blew my mind that a young looking law enforcement officer could pose as a high school student and be part of this undercover drug investigation. And a thought came to me, and I thought, what if we had met? And what if we liked each other? Or what if it wasn't that he liked me, but he needed my help? And then my overactive imagination was like, hold up. Why would an undercover drug investigation need the help of an ordinary 18-year-old Ojibwe girl? Well, flash forward to I graduated from Central Michigan University, and I went to work at Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe, started a career in education, lived and worked in different tribal communities, and for about 27 years, I got married, had 3 kids, and 27 years later, I was 44, and I kind of had this midlife crisis. We are amongst family here. And I thought, I always say I'm going to write that book. Because by then I had kind of worked out the puzzle pieces that what if it was a federal drug investigation on a reservation? And what if the drug that was involved was something that had a recipe that could be tweaked? And what if what got added to it had a cultural component to it? And what if that 18-year-old girl was excellent in chemistry, but also knew about traditional medicines, knew her culture and language, and was connected to everybody and everything? She actually would be the ideal confidential informant for a drug investigation. So when I was 44 and going through my midlife crisis, I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to try to write it, because even if I write it and it sucks, I can live with failure easier than I can live with never having tried. And so that's what I did. I wrote the world's worst first draft of a book. And then I put it aside for a few months, and then I reread it. And I thought, okay, there's something here. This is just too good of an idea. And so for the next 10 years, I wrote and rewrote. I did a lot of research, asked a lot of questions, and each draft that I wrote got better and better and better. And so my path to getting Firekeeper's Daughter published, I describe it as the opposite of hurry up and wait. It was more like a roller coaster that takes a really long time to get to that very first, tallest peak. But once it's there and it takes off, it has been an unending roller coaster ride that I have been so happy to be on ever since. So I had a literary agent within 2 weeks, And after a short revise and revision, my manuscript went out on submission, and there was a book auction 2 weeks later, and I sold the publishing rights for over $1 million. And 2 weeks later, I sold the film rights to the Obamas in another incredible deal. And 2 years later, I've sold the publishing rights for books 3 and 4 in an even larger deal. And so, this Sugar Island Chronicles is going to be a book series, and at least part of it is going to be on Netflix. And so people all over the world are reading about our community. They're reading about our language and how we use it. They're learning cultural teachings. They're learning about all of the wonderful things in our community, and they're seeing so much more. They're seeing beyond our trauma. They're seeing beyond unpleasant truths that every community has to deal with. They're seeing joy. They're seeing elders as a vital part of the story. And they're getting to experience the love that I have for Sugar Island and Bahweting. So I just want to say thank you for not electing me. Because sometimes unanswered prayers result in dreams that were even too big for you to realize at the time. So, miigwech. I'd like to open it up to some questions, and so who wants to go first? Oh, we have a question in the back there. Oh, okay, so the update on the Netflix deal is that, so Firekeeper's Daughter is the very first property that the Obama's company, Higher Ground Productions, optioned for a series. So they had done documentaries, and this is going to be their first series. So we have a head writer and a showrunner, and the head writer, she's Ojibwe. Her name is Winona Wilms, and she's, I believe, Redcliffe Band of Ojibwe. And she and the showrunner have completed a script for the pilot episode that both the Obamas and Netflix officials have given the green light to. And so the next step is to assemble a writer's room, which means adding 4 to 8 more writers and working on the scripts for the rest of the first season. And once those scripts get approved, then they'll go into casting and production and all of those things. Now, when you sell the film rights, unless you're Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, you lose a lot of control. And so I'm sorry, Mike McCoy, I don't have casting approval to bring you to the silver screen in the way that you so richly deserve. But I can make suggestions. And I sure hope that they're going to be doing some location shoots here.
Angela, do you need any help with the musical soundtrack? Let me know.
Again, I will make all the suggestions. But don't come after me if they don't pick you. Another question? Yes?
Thank you for coming and speaking with us, first of all. I read Warrior on Earth in just a few days, and one of my favorite things about it was the reappearance of a lot of the characters that we really know and love in Firekeeper's Daughter, but learning about them in different ways and from different perspectives. I'm just wondering how much of that was inspired by people that you met and grew up with and know in this community. It seems like a lot of it may have been drawn from experiences, and I'm just curious if you can speak to that for a few minutes.
Sure. So the question is about like real life inspirations and my writing style, which in telling these stories, it's maybe mentioning a character in the first book and then that person might be the main character in the next book. That technique, I really I'm inspired by Louise Erdrich, who does that. I feel that's a very Anishinaabe way of storytelling, is all of these interconnected stories and families. And so there are some characters that are, inspired by real people, but I usually, out of respect, I just might take like one aspect and then make up everything else about that character. And so, yeah. And so for those that are wondering, no, Bob Marchand is not the inspiration for TJ Keewaydin, despite what he might think. No, I'm just kidding. And so, yeah, I hope I do so with honor and respect and appreciation for so many of the colorful people that we have in our community. I don't have my glasses on either, so I'm like selecting whichever blur seems to be moving.
This blur is Marty's.
Anine Marty.
So in your travels around the world, what are the most interesting questions you get from other countries?
Oh, okay. So in addition to the publishing deal that I have here in North America, I also have 22 foreign deals in other countries. And so the story is being translated and published around the world. And what I love is that they don't translate the Anishinaabe, so people around the country are seeing our language, and I just can't think of anything more spectacular than that. And the question was about like meeting people from around the world and...
What's the most interesting thing they ask about?
They want to know if blanket parties are real. They want to know if people are real. They want to know Jamie's real name. They want to know if Sugar Island is a real place. And so I'm really happy to talk about this place that I love and encourage them to come visit and see. The funniest question I ever got was at a high school visit, and sometimes they'll vet the questions ahead of time. They'll make the students write them out on index cards, and then they'll go through and pick, so that I don't get questions like, students want to know what kind of car I drive, and like, anyway, a lot of questions about money. But this one student, at this school, they didn't vet the questions ahead of time, so he stands up, and one of the people that was on stage with me, who knew the students, goes, "Uh-oh." And he goes, "Miss Bully, can you get me a part on the Netflix series?" And I said, what part do you think you should play? And he said, "Oh, I don't know, I didn't read the book." So I was like, "I'll tell you what, come up on stage afterwards, I'll give you my business card and a book. Read the book, and you get back to me and let me know what part you think you should play and what part you think you would be so miscast in." And I'm still waiting to hear from him. So, yeah. I met Stephen Graham Jones in Paris, which sounds like the most bougie native thing to say, but Stephen Graham Jones is one of my favorite authors, and I had just finished reading The Only Good Indians, and we were on a panel together, so I met him backstage and shook hands with him, and he's very easy on the eyes. And I got like really flustered, and I wanted to tell him how much his books meant to me. And, but as I said, he's really pretty on the eyes. And so I said, I really like your books. Which is like one step better than you do good words. So yeah, it's been incredible to go around the country and even overseas and meet readers and teams from different countries that are reading the book, and they just, yeah, it's beyond a dream.
Angela, and I just want to let you know I'm very, very proud of you for your journey. And I want you to know that Aaron Kamon is also a writing book. And he gave me some ink. Just want to help
Do I have free reign to make you either a hero or a villain? Because the villains are always more fun to write.
And another thing I would like to know, if you have a bodyguard, because I'm an old prison guard and I could the way I shoot my mouth off, the rest of the week is gunpowder.
Angela, I'm definitely the villain.
Thank you, Betty.
How is your family adjusting to your new life?
So, the day that I got the book deal, I was living in Washington, D.C. and working at the U.S. Department of Education. And my agent called me at a time she wasn't supposed to be calling me and asked if I could talk. And I of course. So I ran into this one stairwell, which was the only place I could get a good signal on my cell phone. And she told me what the best and final offer was from Macmillan Publishing. And it was beyond, it was like triple what I ever thought I would get. And yeah, the whole call was just us saying, oh my God, back and forth to each other. And then I called my mom, it was her birthday. And I said, Mom, I just got an offer, and I told her how much it was. And she goes, really? And I said, yeah, for real. And she said, I'll tell your dad you got a really good deal, but I won't tell him how much because I don't want him to treat you any different. So my parents are very proud of me, and my family is too. Honestly, I don't think my sons have read my book, but I gave birth to some reluctant readers. But I know one of them has at least listened to half of the audiobook because we were on a road trip one time and I put my audiobook in. So but my youngest, my daughter Sarah, she was 11 when I first started, and I said, I got this idea for this book, and I told her about it, and she said, Mom, that sounds even better than Twilight. So, and I thought by the time I finished writing, she would be in high school, and this would be a great, thing for her. I, hadn't counted on it taking 10 years, and so by the time my book published, she was a senior at Michigan Tech, and but she's always been my #1 fan.
Has your success sunk into your soul yet? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I can't believe I got this far?
It's so surreal. There's times when the thing is that an overnight success only looks that way. It's like an iceberg. You don't see most of the effort and the heartache that got you to that point. So I know I'm a good writer, but I know there's writers that are more talented than I am. I know I'm a hard worker, but I know that there are people who work and hustle so much more than I do for their craft. And I know that opportunity is really preparing and doing everything that you can control to position yourself to take advantage of the opportunity that comes along. There's no way that anyone could have known that the market would be so hungry for a young adult thriller, mystery, sort of romance about an 18-year-old Ojibwe girl in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. But I just happened to hit the timing just right and be ready with this story that had been on my mind for 37 years. So, yeah.
So how has this changed you? Do you still go get up on Sunday mornings and run to the grocery store because you forgot to buy milk, and you actually clean bathrooms still?
No to the bathrooms, but yes to, and sometimes I feel bad because this is a lot of work, and so usually my people in New Buffalo see a different version of me with unbrushed teeth and leggings and hair that hasn't been washed, and so I just try to live my life and do good, be good. One time I was coming home from a trip, and it was like an early morning flight, so I didn't even bother with a shower. I just flew dirty, and I get back to the airport, and I'm paying for my parking before I go out to the parking lot, and this woman comes up to me and she goes, "Are you Angeline Bully?" And I said, yes I am. And she said, "Can I have a picture with you?" And I was like, no. And she was really surprised, and I said, "I am so sorry, but I did not plan for any," and she goes, "I won't show anyone." So yeah, I think the hardest thing is trying to make sure that I have boundaries and that I'm good to myself and that I protect myself and from people and situations where my goodness and kindness gets mistaken for for weakness and grifting. So, yep.
Have you considered doing a lady set at our father's?
Ooh. Yes, cousin, I have thought about that. Each story I try to challenge myself as an author, as a writer. So, A Firekeeper's Daughter was just this story that was on my mind for so long, and my agent had said, "Okay, when we sell this book, they're going to want to know what else do you have," and I didn't have anything else. And she's like, "Well, you really should be thinking about your next book." And for 37 years, it was just this one story. So I was in DC, and I was out for a walk one Sunday, and all of a sudden, this character's voice popped into my head, and she said, "I stole everything they think I did, and even stuff they don't know about yet." And I thought, who is this? Who is this? And so I ran into the nearest business because I didn't have a purse with me. I was just walking and, had the credit card and driver's license tucked into the high pocket. And I walk into this business, and it was like a deli, a bar, and a restaurant. I run up to the bar part, and I said, "I need a piece of paper and a pen and a Chardonnay." And I spent the whole afternoon just writing this story about this 16-year-old girl sitting in a police station waiting for her parents to come. And she's covered in blood, and she's thinking, how did it come to this? And that's when I knew that I had my second book. And then I realized that the person that bursts through the door to come get her, it wasn't her parents, it was her auntie, Donis. And she says, "What did you do?" and wraps her in a bear hug, and then tells her, "Don't tell them anything." And I thought, yes, that's my next story.
Also, like that, we're all very proud of
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have something, just a statement. I think it's pretty awesome, like this is my first time ever meeting you. And I think it's pretty awesome that you seem to stay humble, like you know where you come from. And maybe like, no matter how much money you make or whatever, you still know where you come from and the value of that. Like, as if, and say you're flying or whatever, and you can go to, first class or just regular, like, you seem like you're a regular person.
Miigwech. I have to say, I like first class. I mean, I'm a bigger woman, and the first class seats just fit me a lot better. So, but yeah, Miigwech, thank you.
That's kind of a luxury, but it's still like a way to treat yourself. Like that's something that you deserve.
Miigwech. I always think this is why it's so important for us to tell our stories, because if someone from outside of our communities tries to tell our stories, they usually only focus on the trauma and the negative, and they don't know enough. I think you have to love your community in order to be able to write truthfully about it and to include the good things, and to know that if you get it wrong, my cousin Deb will like kick my ass. And so, I think that that's the thing, is that when you come from a community and you tell stories, you're answerable. I'm answerable to my community. If I get it wrong, yeah, I'm going to hear about it and have to, take accountability for it. So I always hope that I represent my community well, and that I can be trusted to tell our stories in a way that brings us honor and respect and increased understanding, and that I don't, that I'm not irresponsible with Indigenous knowledge. All right, I think we're going to head over. People who do want my book, want me to sign my book, I'm happy to. I think we're going to do it in a little tent over there. Sorry. And just thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to the tribe for sponsoring me to come out, and thank you everyone for turning up. Yeah.